Good day to everybody. שפע ברוך והצלחה שיהיו שבטם של הקדושים והטהורים. פרשת מקץ. ויהי מקץ 2 ימים ופרעה חולם חלום. After 2 years, Pharaoh is dreaming a dream. And here we have to understand a few things. What does it mean after 2 years? 2 years from what? From when? What happened before? So the story begins when Joseph was in jail and he had those 2 ministers, the cook and the winer, or whatever you call it, in jail, and they were dreaming a dream, and he solved the dreams, and he asked the winer, or whatever you call it, the one who makes the wine for the king, from the king, Sarah Mashkim, the drinks minister, he asked him to remind Pharaoh that he is in jail and he's innocent and did nothing in the whole story, blah, blah, blah. And he was punished because of it. Why was he punished? Because he had, we're talking about Joseph, and Joseph had to have a trust in God in a level that is not something that we should have, like we cannot get to that level. And at his level, he knew that God is going to take him out, he knew that what's going to, but he didn't have to remind the Pharaoh, or the remind to Kadosh Baruch Hu that he has to save him. You have to trust God. God is going to save you. And because he said twice, Zacharti v'zkartani, remember, and another phrase of remember, he was punished for 2 years to stay more in jail till Pharaoh dreamt the dream, and he solved the dream, and he was saved. It's written, ויהי מקץ 2 ימים ופרעה חולם חלום. Like in the end of 2 years, and Pharaoh is dreaming a dream. It's not dreaming and he dreamt a dream, he's dreaming a dream. So one of the commentators says that, that the idea was that he was dreaming this dream for 2 years. But because of the punishment that Joseph got, he was waking up in the morning forgetting the dream. And after 2 years, when the time came to release Yosef from the pit, then he woke up and he remembered the dream and he understood, I need somebody to solve this dream. So he is calling all the wise people of Egypt that were very clever people, and nobody can solve him the dream. And they tell him stories, 7 daughters are going to die, 7 daughters. You know the dream. The dream is very simple, that 7 cows, fat cows, going up from the river, from the Yaor, and then very thin, like almost skeletons cows come out after them, 7, and eat all the other cows, the 7 cows. And when you look at them after they've eaten those fat big cows, they still look the same, like skeleton, very, very thin. So everybody that looks at this dream can understand we're talking here about something to do with eating, 7 things, 7 years or whatever. Then you're talking about shibolim, that is weed, that is again, you eat it. So again, the 7 story, 7 fat one, 7 thin one. How did Pharaoh know that Joseph is giving him the right solution, that is the solution for the dream? How did he know? So I tell you how. When we look at the parasha, we see a few very interesting things. Let's look and read it. First of all, he is dreaming a dream. והנה מן היאור עולות 7 פרות יפות, and from the Yaor going out 7 things, but etc., etc., etc. ותאכלנה, and they ate the other cows, and it's written on וישן ויחלום שנית. And he dreams, and he's going to sleep, and ויקץ פרעה, he woke up, and he again went to sleep, and he dreams a dream again, another dream. And this is what we do shibolim, and then again he wakes up, והנה חלום, and here is a dream. ויהי בבוקר, and in the morning, like it was, wow, what was this dream? And look what is right. This is, it's very difficult to explain it in English, but something here is very strange, because when he dreams a dream, and then he says, I woke up and dreamt another dream, and then in the morning it says, I woke up and here is a dream. It says a dream, one dream. but it looks like there are two dreams. And listen what, and he calls all the Chartumim and all the wise people, and he's telling them et chalomo, his dream, in singular, his dream. Ve'en poter otam leparo, but they think, like everybody thinks, that there are two dreams. But the real thing is, it's a dream in a dream. So sometimes it happens to you that you dream a dream, and then in the dream you wake up and you dream another dream. This is one of 60 of prophecy. In other words, Pharaoh understood this is something that I have to check what's going on here, but he doesn't tell them the whole thing that it was one dream. He tells them the story as we heard, and they are sure that there are two dreams. But then no solution is good enough for him. So then Sarah Mashkim says that the drink minister, whatever you call him, comes and says, oh, I remember, 2 years ago it was in jail, and there is this guy that's and he knows the Jewish guy, the slave, and he saw our dreams. So Pharaoh, bring him in. Bring him. So they're running. Of course, they shave him and they dress him and wash him. All the things that's going for in front of the king. And here happens something very interesting. After Joseph understands the mistake he did, reminding the Sarah Mashkim about releasing him from jail. In other words, it's like you're reminding God that he has to release you. This, at your level, you shouldn't have done it. We can do this, but not Joseph. You had to wait. So he understood that he was punished, because the Sarah Mashkim gets out of jail and doesn't speak anything, and only after 2 years happens what happens, and then he says the whole story. So now he comes, and he's standing in front of Pharaoh. This Pharaoh that says, I am God. And he is telling him, very simple. Vayomer Paro el Yosef, Chalom chalamti, I dreamt a dream. And again, he says one dream. Ve'en poter oto, there is nobody solving that dream. Not the dreams, that dream. One dream. And I heard that you will listen to a dream and you will solve it. Tishma chalom liftor oto. Vayan Yosef, and Yosef answers to Pharaoh, Biladai, I am not solving any dreams. God is solving the dreams. God ya'aneh et shlom Paro. Vayidaber Paro el Yosef b'chalomi, and then he tells him, in my dream, I dreamt this, and he's telling him the whole story again. But the interesting thing, he says in the middle, Miketz, and I woke up, and I saw in my dream 7 shibolim, olot b'kan echad, and then Bativlana shibolim, and the thin shibolim swallow the thick one, the thick weed, and I told the Chartumim. He's not saying that he woke up. In other words, Rav Yitzchak Bernstein Zatzal says, we see all the signs that he is really trying to tell in a very clever way that he's got one dream. It's not two dreams. And listen what is Joseph telling him. Vayomer Yosef el Paro, Chalom Paro echadu. Your dream is one. It's not two dreams, it's one dream. And what God wants to do, that's what he's telling you. So now, when he listened to this Pharaoh, he understood this guy knows what he's talking about. This guy is a clever guy. He's the only one who understood that there were not two dreams. Or let's say there were not, like I was dreaming a dream in a dream, and I was still sleeping while I was waking in my dream and dreaming again. And the only one who understood this is Joseph. And he says, those are not two dreams. The Chartumim says, Otam, the dreams. But Joseph says, a dream, one dream. And then he explained to him what he should do. And this is also very interesting. Well, you are, with all due respect, this Jewish slave comes out of the pit, of jail, and he's telling Pharaoh not only the solution of the dream, but what he should do in order to prevent the catastrophe that this dream is talking about, which is telling him there are going to be 7 good years. Good means unbelievable good years. And after those 7 good years, there are going to come 7 bad years. And those bad years will swallow all the good years, all what you had from the good years. So you have to prepare yourself. And then he explained to him what to do. You have to gather from everybody harvest, for the harvest like 20% or something, and put it in warehouses all over the country. And then when the famine will come, when the bad years will come, you will open the warehouses and you will have wheat, you will have food for all the people. And while he's doing it, he says, "Vayomer Yosef el Paro chalom Paro echadu." The dream of Pharaoh is one dream. Et asher Elokim, what God wants to, again, is telling him about God. Sheva parot tovot, and he's explaining him what we said right now. And then he's not, again and again, he's mentioning God. Why you see the dream twice? You see the same thing in two versions, but it's the same dream in two versions, and it repeats itself. So this must mean that God is going to do it very quickly. Again God. And and God is going to do it very quickly. Again God. So you have to find our clever guy that is going to deal with it. You have to put people all over the country and take from when the good years, you have to take taxes from all the people with the wheat, with the harvest, take taxes, and they will gather food for in the good years for the bad years. Oh, and Pharaoh loved what he heard. And he says, Pharaoh to Alavdav, is there a guy that the Spirit of God is in him? Now Pharaoh is a believer. Vayomer Paro, and then he says, Pharaoh El Yosef, after God told you all of this, there is no guy more wise and clever than you. You will be on my house, and everybody is going to listen to you. And he removes his ring and gives it to Joseph. And Joseph, that 2 seconds ago was a slave, is now the second in command in Egypt. Nobody can move in Egypt without him telling what to do. Unbelievable. And our sages say that the same way will be the Geula, Alevai b'mira b'yameinu amen. That the minute Vayi Miketz, when the end will come to our suffering, in one click, the Geula will come. And maybe this is the idea of Hanukkah now. Hanukkah is the light to show us the real truth behind the, let's say, the dark that looks like of the Greeks, of the Western culture. You look at it, running after all the materialistic things and all the joys of this world. And for what? This is only a temporary world. And this is the Greek culture. The Greek culture comes and shows us all the beauty of, and it's nice, music, sculpture, philosophy. They were also in the spiritual way, they were very clever. And they brought the light to the world. The problem is that this light was really the dark. The dark that shines and looks like the light, but the real thing is that it's a whole big lie. And those are the candles of Hanukkah that light the darkness of Greek and show us the real true light. It's like I was a few years ago in an exhibition in Turkey when we were working with Turkey, and there was this exhibition, and there were a few things that were interesting in. One of the, like in this show, you had a few big places. They had a big show on the exhibition. A big booth, and on the other had small places. And we went to the factories to visit and see the factories, and we found out something unbelievable. Those who were showing off in the exhibition, like big stands, they were small factories, and sometimes even very primitive. From the other side, those who were showing up on the exhibition on small stands, they were big factories, very sophisticated. In other words, what we saw in our eyes was, we imagined to ourselves, because it looks like, wow, it's big. It's like we look at at this world and think, wow, look how big, how clever, how shining it. This is gold. And the real truth is that behind it, there is nothing. And from the other side, those small things that we neglect sometimes, we find out eventually that are the biggest thing that can be. And to make it even clearer, a few years when the corona, when it was ended, the corona, but in China you still couldn't go to China, so the Chinese did an exhibition in Dubai. We went with the exhibition, which was a very big disappointment. There were very small stands, very small booths, and there were people standing there that didn't know anything about the products, and hardly there were any products there. And if you wanted to contact a factory in China, you had a computer there and you had to talk on Zoom or a video with the guy from the other side of the world in China. And I was thinking to myself, I knew a few of those factories, big, huge factories, and they were showing like in a very miserable way, like it looked like nothing. And again, the same thing. It's not what we see in our eyes, it's what is behind. And this is something we have to put in our mind. And one of the interesting things that I want to show, the idea of the fat cows and the thin cows, that eating the fat cows, this is exactly what's happening to us in this world. We are temporary in this world. And it's like this story that the Maggid Midubna brings about a king that he wanted to give a present to one of his friends that did good with him. So he told him, I'm going to give you 10 minutes in the treasure. You go into the treasure hall and you can take whatever you want. You have 10 minutes to take everything. After he said it, he regretted. Wow, what did I do? He can take millions out. Got a few big diamonds and who knows what else he's going to take. What should I do? So he called to his consultant and says, oh, I did a mistake. I said this. What can I do? So he said, who is the guy? He said, you know what? This guy, he loves music. He's crazy on music. What you should do now, put in the treasure hall inside the best band in the country. The best people the best players, the best violins, the best singers, the best of the best music they can. So the day comes and you put it in. The day comes and this guy comes and he brings a big sack. He's going to fill 10 minutes is a lot of time. He goes in and suddenly the orchestra starts playing. And the music is so sweet, so heavenly, and he's moving with the music. There's 1 minute, I have to take a few things. And then the violin starts. Oh, wow. So good. What a beautiful music. And he's listening to the music. And then he wakes up, I have to take, and he wants to take something, but the guards come and take him out. He says, why? What happened? Your time is finished. The same thing is with us. God put us in his treasure hall. We can take here whatever we want. We have the time to use it to do the good in the eyes of God, to do mitzvahs, milut chasadim, loving each other, give charity, and using the time in the best thing. And this is going to be the treasure that's going to wait us in the next world. But we don't understand that we are only in an unlimited time here, and the time will pass and the music will stop. And we listening to the music of the Greeks, of the Western culture. We are listening to the music of running after joys and materialismus and big houses and cars and clothes and holidays. And we're listening to the music of the Greek. We listen to the music of the Western world, of the joys of the body. And 1 minute, we have to do a few mitzvahs, to take a few diamonds. But then we listen again to the music. Stop listening to the music. Look at the light of the candles of Hanukkah that will wake us up to look at the truth. Stop listening to the music of the materialistic world, of the lust, of the flesh, and all the joys of the flesh. Start looking at the real joy, of the diamonds that we have here, of the time that we can use to do more and more mitzvahs and take from the treasure unbelievable millions of billions of dollars, or whatever you call it, which are going to be our reward in the next world when we get out of the treasure that we have now. So don't be stupid like this guy who had 10 minutes, and instead of gathering, taking diamonds and jewels, he was listening to the music. Let's stop. You can sometimes listen to the music, but stop listening to the music all the time. Understand and realize that you are here on a limited time, that you have here and you can gather so many things, so many good things. So when we light this week the light of Hanukkah, remember this. The real light is the light of the Torah. The real light is the mitzvahs. This is the treasure that we are preparing for ourselves in the next world. And stop going after this Western culture of lust and materialistic joys. And remember the fat cows and the thin cows and the dreams of Pharaoh. And Be'ezrat Hashem, we will go in the right way to the Geulah b'meira b'yameinu. Amen.